Alright, hello everybody. Um, Today we are going to be, now I did a, I did a test at the beginning of this video just to make sure that it was actually working properly and that I didn't, do one of these. Kind of very similar to the last time when I muted my mic. Um, yeah, I literally filmed, I literally filmed 5 videos and had ended up muting it by accident. So just to be sure, I'm actually going to go and check to make sure I haven't muted it again. Alright, so yeah, we're all good. So today, we are going to be reviewing the newest Black Panther movie, Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So, I will say this, compared to the first one, I think it wasn't nearly as good as the first movie, in my opinion. Now, to say that it wasn't good would be would be wrong. It was still a good movie on its own, but I just didn't. If you're comparing it to the first one, I would say that it is not nearly even comparable to the first one, by far. It just felt kind of, yeah, it felt political, more political than action. And I guess everybody's after the vibranium, which is the Wakandan metal, right, that they use for things, and everybody's trying to get their hands on it to either weaponize it or, yeah, saying that Wakanda's withholding it and they shouldn't have that kind of power, sort of thing. But the Queen convinces them that they haven't traded it due to the fact that everybody's just grabbing it to become powerful, or everybody's trying to take it to become powerful, and not the other way around. That's why they've never traded it or tried to sell it or anything like that. So she shuts that down pretty quick when she realizes that France at the United Nations building is trying to actually get vibranium from one of their testing facilities or whatever. And yeah, she just brings them in with her soldiers or whatever, and yeah, that whole situation gets shut down pretty quick with them. And then obviously we have Shuri, who was uh, oh my god, um, yeah, who was King T'Challa's brother. But she was just trying to save her brother at the very beginning of the movie, and the intro was very cool. I know how they always do like the Marvel Studios intro, but in this one it was different. They had like a moment of silence for Chadwick Boseman, and instead of, it being all the characters, it was just clips of him from his movies, from his appearances, obviously, and I think some of the other ones maybe. And then they had the funeral scene at the very beginning, which was fitting. And then we get into the movie with his sister and her sort of becoming, uh, obviously building up to her becoming the new Black Panther, right? Because she's trying to work on different projects, I think. She's trying to put the whole Black Panther thing in the past, even though her mother is trying to convince her of becoming the new Black Panther and the new hero. But she does eventually do it, and the new suit is cool. And she is certainly one of the more badass characters in this movie, that's for sure. Um, but it did feel lacking kind of in certain parts, like the introduction of Namor, obviously. I think could have been done a little bit better, especially when, if you don't really maybe know much about him. Uh, I mean, they do give a backstory eventually of how he got his powers, with his mother drinking the serum that the shaman gave her, and him convincing her that it was the only way to save the child, even though he was completely healthy and fine, regardless. And then they end up losing their ability to even breathe air, so they have to move into the water, and that's the way they get their oxygen. So when they're on land, they actually have to wear these masks that contain water so that they can actually survive on land. So pretty crazy that this stuff that the shaman gave them and convinced them of actually gave them away really the ability to live a normal life. And because of what happened with them, he had some birth defects, but also gained the powers basically. So he's a demigod. So he's half human, half god essentially. That's what a demigod is, like half human, half god sort of thing. Um, because of his powers, I guess. Because he wasn't. Well, I guess he was born with them. Yeah, kind of a weird way to get your powers, eh? Through a shaman, but it was kind of cool to see. Obviously a new character introduced, and I think personally for me, he probably had the most character development throughout the entire film, and this was one of the darker villains, I would say. Kind of similar to Gore the God Butcher, although I am getting sick of Marvel taking the villains and somewhat flipping them to become the good guys. Like, can we get any villain in the MCU that just stays a villain? And I know he's not technically supposed to be a villain. He's supposed to be like an anti-hero because he does kill. But I mean, for them to even forgive him for killing the queen, and obviously, um, yeah, for killing the queen of Wakanda seems kind of crazy because he was just trying to kill the scientist that was behind the rigs that were mining the vibranium in the ocean. Now, obviously, the queen thinks that there is no other, yeah, that there is no other place but Wakanda that has vibranium, which isn't true, apparently, because when Namor shows up to literally on basically on their front doorstep, he gets past all of their security and so on and so forth, and it's just crazy that yeah, he was able to do that without even being detected, and he just sets the whole rig there, and then obviously Shuri goes through it, and because she's pretty equipped with all of the tech, so she's kind of like the yeah. It seems like they're bringing in a whole bunch of new age techs kind of thing, like Spider-Man's basically the new Iron Man, and now she kind of seems very similar to the Iron Man character, and they even had another girl in here. Um, oh God, what was her name? Where is she here? Wow, my God, is she anywhere in here? Good Lord. Yeah, which one was the one that played Ironheart? You would think that she would be in here somewhere in a photo, because she was a pretty big part of the movie. Oh, okay. Huh. That can't be right, could it? Let me just see here if they have another photo of Ironheart. Oh, I guess that is her. Okay. Interesting. I didn't think that was. Okay, so I guess Ironheart was... Where is she? Really? That was... Hmm. Good Lord. Okay. Interesting. So her real name was Riri, I guess, is how you would pronounce it. Huh. I didn't realize that she was the Ironheart character. Interesting. She doesn't look anything like she did in the movie, for sure, in her IMDb profile picture. But anyway, not super important, I guess. So they also have Everett Ross, played by Martin Freeman, basically giving them information on what's going on, obviously outside of, um, yeah, like what's going on with the vibranium and certain stuff. So uh, he's been in contact with Shuri, and his commanding officer finds out about it, and she is obviously wanting the vibranium for power, right? So just what a mess that was when he got caught and he tries to kind of say like think about the repercussions of what would happen if vibranium was weaponized, and she goes, I dream of that. So she clearly wasn't on the right side of the fence with the whole yeah, don't weaponize vibranium thing. So the action scenes were actually pretty cool, even though it felt like they were few and far between. Because again, there were some very kind of extended scenes I felt where there was just a lot of talking going on. And I mean, I guess they had a lot to cover, obviously, with, the kind of the gap between the two movies. But I mean, I feel like this movie could have been maybe a bit shorter. Um, and maybe the next one obviously be the longer movie if you're going to have them possibly fighting uh, Namor, because he seems like he's kind of sided with them, but he also seems like he's using them in a sense as well, because he mentions that now they're going to have to call on him when they really need him, I guess, because he yielded. So technically he's an ally, but I feel like he's going to probably turn on them again eventually. And just the way he's able to travel in and out of the water is different from the rest of the people, because because of how he was given the powers, right? So he can travel on land and water, so that makes him even more dangerous. And he has the wings on his feet, which make him incredibly fast, although he does get one of them cut off at the end. So I'm not sure how much that's going to really affect him, or whether it grows back. I'm not really sure. Um, I would imagine he's not going to be able to, there's going to be some sort of regenerative qualities in him, probably. Um, and it seems that once he's out of water for a long period of time, he does tend to lose some of his abilities, but he still has quite a bit of strength. Because he does actually almost end up killing Shuri at the end of the film, and I was like, really, you're gonna go this long, like almost the full 2.5, 3 hours of the film, and then she just ends up dying? Like, that would be a horrible way to end it, I would think. And we do get to see the return of um, T'Challa's wife, which was cool. She's been gone for, I guess, the entire time he was sick, and then when he died, she didn't attend the funeral just because she kind of had to, I guess, stay away and grieve in her own way, I suppose. And obviously, when we find out that T'Challa's son is probably going to be the one that takes over the kingdom, that's really cool. And also the fact that M'Baku challenges for the throne at the end of the film. So I would imagine he is probably going to have to, in a few movies here, whenever the third Black Panther gets announced, because I would imagine there's going to be a third one. There can't not be. They left it on such a cliffhanger, and also saying after the credits that Black Panther is going to be returning. So yeah, obviously, obviously there's going to be a return to that. Now, yeah, the scenes where Neymar was able to just infiltrate Wakanda so easily is quite terrifying, actually. And the fact that he was able to just bring in everybody and flood most of Wakanda was just crazy. Um, Including his like water grenade weapons. Those things were just absolutely devastating. Kind of similar to like what Green Goblin uses, I would say, except it was almost like yeah, it just carried water in them, and they were super powerful, and they could flood an entire area in a matter of seconds, which is actually how he ends up killing the queen. And who was it that lost their rank? Was it Okaya that lost her rank? I do believe in the one scene. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Now I don't know if they have any photos of her on here or not. Yeah, it was Okai that ended up losing her rank and becoming a civilian, because when she took Shuri on the mission, she ended up losing her, and she gets kidnapped by Namor. And um, he shows her what had happened to his people and tells her how he got the powers and all of that good stuff. And then he says that he has to kill the scientist in order for them to stop farming the vibranium in the ocean, because they're just going to use it against him eventually, right? Is his thing. So if he kills the scientist, he's basically cutting the snake off at the head, is his idea of what is going to be happening, is what's going to happen when he kills the scientist. But they're just going to find somebody else to build the machine for them, and so on and so forth. And then she ends up building the Ironheart suit, and we get to see her in it for a little bit in the final battle scene, which was pretty awesome. Like I said, the action scenes were good. Um, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Avatar too, where there's definitely some build up to the action scenes, um, but I felt like they could have probably cut a little bit of the politics out of the movie. Now that's just me. Obviously, there was a lot to cover in the story and kind of the build-up of certain characters, but I think Neymar was honestly my favorite character in the movie. Um, he kind of seemed to develop the most, and he kind of seemed to be more at the forefront than really any of the other characters. It was kind of weird. I feel like they've kind of done that with the last few Marvel movies. Now, I will say this, Thor Love and Thunder included both Thor and Jane throughout the entire thing, so that made sense. But it kind of seemed like uh, it was almost like they were competing for spotlight between obviously making Shuri the new Black Panther and her becoming worthy of the powers. And yeah, Neymar seemed to kind of be like a forefront to this film as well. And I mean, I guess he was a big part. Obviously, he's a big part of the MCU, and probably will be going forward if I've been told that they follow the comics. Like he's a huge part of a certain arc in the story. So yeah, if they follow that, I guess he's going to be a super important character uh, coming up in some of these uh, Marvel films, obviously. So hopefully we get to see a reappearance of him, and obviously we know we're going to get to see a reappearance of Black Panther. Now, how many years down the road will it be, and how many years are they going to have to skip in order to have Prince T'Challa become the new king and obviously challenge um, M'Baku, right? Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And then, yeah, it was crazy that we had two funerals in this movie, one for King T'Challa and then one for the Queen. So yeah, kind of crazy that they killed off both those characters. Now, obviously, there's the multiverse, so it is possible, I guess, for them to bring certain characters back. And seeing the trailer for Ant-Man in this was awesome. Now, the other thing I was disappointed about. Now, I'm not really sure where this movie is supposed to sit in the timeline. I guess we'll find out when it comes out on Disney Plus in the chronological order that they do it in. Now, I will say, however, yeah, that I was disappointed that we didn't get to see a single scene with Bucky with a new vibranium arm. Like, he was with them last, as far as I know, um, and I'm not really sure. Now, obviously, the Winter Soldier, or yeah, like Disney, the show on Netflix is supposed to take place after Captain America reigning in the new Captain America, right? But Bucky should still be with the Wakandans, I would think. So I'm kind of disappointed that we never got to see him even slightly take on Neymar, because I think he would have been a huge factor if that had been the case, because he has the vibranium arm now, right? So he's even stronger than he was before with just the regular metal arm. So yeah, kind of crazy to think that he wasn't in there, and maybe he'll be in the next one, or maybe he's going to make an appearance in one of these other movies. I don't know. It just kind of seems crazy that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that was the name of the show, that he wasn't even in this movie at all. I was really crossing my fingers at the end when when Okia Okia saves um Okia saves Everett. at the end. I was really hoping that it would be Bucky because I knew they were back in the States, and I was like, oh, come on, please let it be Bucky. But it wasn't, so it was kind of disappointing. Um, and then the end credit scene, obviously. Now, the merchandise for this was cool. So you get the cup, the collector's cup. I guess I can kind of show this. So this is the collector's cup here. Yeah, they could have done this on maybe, yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe a lighter background for this, because the cup seems fairly like dark. Like it kind of takes away from the characters a little bit. Yeah, they could have used some brighter colors behind the characters for sure, just to kind of make them pop a little bit more. I feel like the cup color, like black, was not a good choice for the cup color because it takes away from the characters. They could have popped more, maybe with like a gray or something as the cup color. And then it says Wakanda Forever on the other side, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I mean, the design's cool, but I just feel like the characters could have popped a bit more. Because they all wear dark colors themselves anyway, except for the orange. The orange pops, but like her costume's purple, like dark green, and then his is like brown with black accents and stuff. So yeah, I feel like they could have used a lighter color as the main color for the cup. And the characters would have popped a lot more. But anyway, and you got a little package with it that either came with a necklace, a bracelet, or a keychain. Um, so I'm kind of disappointed too that they didn't have toppers for these ones because I mean they had new characters coming, right? So it would have made a little bit more sense. Um, I feel like it would have made more sense for them to do something like that. Um, Even if it was just Black Panther, Neymar, and the Queen or something, or Ironheart. Like, yeah, Black Panther, Neymar, and Ironheart would have been something else. Like the new Black Panther suit, and yeah, Neymar and Ironheart would have been cool to have as toppers. But I guess it seems like they're kind of going away from that now and just doing like the collector's cups. But yeah, which I kind of miss because I liked collecting the toppers for movies. But I guess it is what it is. They did the popcorn bucket. They have a T-shirt. They did the cup and the whole necklace, bracelet, and keychain thing. So I guess you're getting something out of it at least. Uh, and what else? What else was I gonna say? Yeah, um, I wish I had have done more with Ironheart because you only get to see her for maybe about basically the last battle scene. Really, is where you get to see her the most, and then she doesn't even get to take the suit with her. So I hope she returns in the next movie. There's got to be something that happens with her where she has to return to Wakanda and stay there, I would feel. Because if they're not going to let her have that technology, or she's just going to end up building her own, like another suit, an even better version of it. I can see that happening too if she's going to be part of the if she's going to be being part of the MCU now, introduction to another new character. So it kind of seems like she's going to be super important as well. So I think I've covered pretty much everything I can. Um, and Tanoke Haruta was the guy who played Namor. And then I believe this was the Queen, right? Angela Bassett was the Queen, Queen Ramonda, I do believe, if I'm thinking correctly. I'm just going to go into all photos here one more time. And they must show the Queen here somewhere. And it was cool to see Kamara Usman get a small role in the film as well. He even had a little bit of dialogue, so it was cool to see for the UFC fans, it was cool to see a UFC fighter in a big film like this. And it did make 180 million in the first weekend, and I imagine it'll make more. Um, yeah, just the whole Mayan setup underwater with the underwater city and stuff like that was super cool. And yeah, he was honestly the coolest character in the film, I think. And the return of T'Challa's wife, she was pretty badass too. I would say those were probably my favorite two characters. Just her weapons alone, the two rings, like she had the coolest weapons out of anybody. Um, and then I guess Rihanna did some music for the movie as well, too, now that I'm looking at some of these photos. So yeah, so Angela Bassett was the queen. Okay, cool. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for this movie. And I got a 7.4 on IMDb, and that's only 50,000 people so far that have rated it. I'm sure it'll get many more ratings by the time it's been out for a few weeks. But yeah, I would say that's pretty much it for this review. I think I've covered everything that I possibly can over this 26 minutes, probably, with the other little clip that I have at the beginning. Uh, so anyway, yeah, I guess I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye bye for now.